Hello, I'm Martin Rochon, and I'm the mountain director from Mont Tremblant. It's quite a big mountain in the area. We have 95 trails, 14 lifts, and we have 4 different sides on the mountain. We have the south side, the north side, we have the edge, which is a summit on its own, and we also have Versant Soleil, that is full south.
Okay, I'm Donald Lacasse, Tremblant Snow School and Golf Director. Well, first of all, Tremblant has been around as a ski area for 75 years. And throughout those years, Tremblant has always been part of the ski history, whether it was technique, with Ernie McCullough in the old years, innovation, first chairlift in Canada, snowmaking, one of the first few resorts to see snowmaking. So we've been seeing that innovation throughout the years, more so in 1991 when Interwest bought Tremblant and totally rebuilt a beautiful resort. So that's when we saw the biggest changes, I would say.
Nick Laroche-Bradford. I'm marketing manager for Tremblant Resort Association. Tremblant is more than a ski hill, and it's an entire village, and it's a little dreamy bubble of a place where you can sort of leave for the weekend or for a week and disconnect. There's not only the ski hill, but there is also an entire village. So there's restaurants, shops, events, all sorts of things happening. It's perfect for a weekend away as a family, school breaks during the winter, anything like that. It's just a little bubble of a magical place.
Well, I think Tremblant, the whole history of Tremblant starts with Joe Ryan. I think he had a vision when he came here in 1938. Within a year, he was able to get the land, build a lift, cut a few trails, and 1939 the mountain opened. Even though we were running races starting in 1936, the Kandahar and the Tacho from the local clubs, a couple of trails on the mountain, but people had to hike up. But the resort itself, 1939 with Joe Ryan, it definitely was some sort of a standard for the industry. A lot of other resorts were open, copying a little bit Tremblant, having a resort place to stay. And the ski week was invented by Réal Charret and Ernie McCullough, and trying to package a whole week, trying to get people here with lodging, food, and it was much more than ski lesson. It was a whole social gathering with people. And with the years it grew up, we definitely moved in the year 2000 with Interwest, new lift, new grooming equipment, a new village, definitely something for everyone, and definitely gathering a lot of people here at Tremblant year-round.
February 12th was the actual opening day 75 years ago. And even though we're 75 years old, we're also 75 years young. And so there's a whole lot of stuff that happened this year to sort of celebrate that history of great skiing experiences. Not only that, it coincided with the Olympics, and there was 5 ambassadors that are attached to Tremblant and come from here and have grown up on the ski hills and trained here, that were representing the region in Sochi. So it's pretty interesting to see the continuation of the past 75 years going into the future. We're not done. We're just starting, really, and it's great to see that.
So as far as terrain goes, we have 2,100 feet of vertical on 4 sides, 95 trails, and terrain for everyone, going from a 6-kilometer long beginner trail called an Anson, all the way up to the steepest terrain, 42 degrees at Dynamite. We also find a lot of gladed area throughout those 4 sides, and all of this, or most of this terrain, is well maintained and groomed every day. Well, the way the mountain is set up, basically, you try to follow the sun. So you start your day on the north side, which is orientation-wise northeast. So you have the early light, and then you move towards the Versant Soleil, which is the newest side, narrower, very rolly side. You drop by the edge, mostly gladed area, and then you finish on the south side towards the village. Beautiful cruisers, and I quite often finish my day on the Nansen, just a very long and easy run to finish with.
I'm a bit biased. I love the Johansson right here. I love the last pitch where you see the village. I grew up skiing on those hills, so I remember looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, that's a massive mountain compared to where I skied usually.
I guess my favorite trail is a combination of trails. It's a route that I really like on the north side. You go through Bonsai, then you switch off to Marie-Claude Asselin in the middle, and then you get off and you go down Duncan for a while, and you cut towards the Expo, the bottom of the Expo trail. So that's a really fun route.
There's plenty. But on a beautiful day after a snowfall, the Ryan is something very special. It's still got that feel of the 1930s and 40s, very narrow, winding, with some rollers. So that's beautiful and one of my favorite trails, the Ryan. Somehow the way our products are designed, where we're touching two different segments. You know, there's weekenders, so people that own cottages around the area or rent cottages that come here, and we offer them 10 or 11 week programs, whether it's racing, freestyle, or simply just to work on technique. And we also have programs for people coming here on vacation, whether it's group lesson, private lesson, or even introduction to the sports.
There's also new this year is the Riglet Park, and that's it's a Burton initiative where it's a park for tiny little toddlers learning to snowboard, and usually you have to be at least a few years to do that. But at the Riglet Park, it's all set up so that they can figure out how it works, get their feet under themselves, get their balance, that sort of thing, and so they can start snowboarding even faster than they would normally. In the pedestrian village, in the resort village, there's about a dozen hotels, 2,000 hotel rooms, give or take. There's about 60 or 70 restaurants and shops. So there's stuff happening from morning to night. Whether you want to have a bite in between ski runs, whether you want to go skating in the evening on a beautiful skating rink, whether you want to run into the mascot and take some photos, play outside. There's all sorts of things. So it really fills out the day after you're done skiing or even in between.
I think the village is pretty complete, whether it's different types of the different sorts of shops and boutiques, as well as restaurants, bars, fitness, spa. So definitely, anybody can come here, whether they're a skier or not, and enjoy a day or a week at Tremblant.
There's all sorts of restaurants for anybody's budget. So you have fancier restaurants. You have, for example, La Savoie that does raclette, European-style raclette. So it's a really absolutely fantastic gastronomical experience. But if you just want a burger and fries, you can do that. If you want more of a health-conscious option, there's a juice bar that does all sorts of special juice options for your specific needs. There's other experiences such as smoked poutine, which is obviously a very Quebec thing, but they have all sorts of crazy poutine types. So if you're up for late night food or just a really good foodie experience, you can find both options, the entire range actually. In regards to lodging, there's a few different options. There's obviously what people think about most is the pedestrian village, and that's what Tremblant is renowned for. It's colored roofs, as you can see behind me. And there's a lot of regular hotel rooms in there, one bedroom, suites, that sort of thing. But there's also mountainside residences and condos. So if you're coming with a whole group of people, there's a few families, kids with you, you can have a 3, 4, 5 bedroom condo unit. You can pretty much have a house in the mountains for a few days, and that's how you disconnect. You can cook there, host meals, that sort of thing. So quite a few options depending on your family configuration. As far as shopping goes, there is very typical Quebec stuff. If you're looking for that, there's Maple Taffy available, that sort of Quebec experience. But there's also brand name boutiques such as Lowly, Solomon, Oakley, and that sort of gives you a lot of options for outdoor gear. You might realize you're missing something while you're here. You can buy it on the resort. There's souvenirs as well, so a few different options, including a jewelry shop, including SAQ for alcohol and stuff like that. So it's pretty comprehensive.
Tremblant changed a lot over the years. It was opened in 1939, and then it was pretty much natural ski. The guys had the small trails, and they were maintaining the trails with snowshoes and shovels. And then it had all the succession of machinery to maintain the mountain. In the 80s, it was the start of snowmaking. Snowmaking was a big revolution to make sure that the mountain could open earlier and then make the season last longer. And after that, we got better snowmaking that takes less energy, makes nicer quality snow. And also one of the big improvements was the modern grooming machine that makes really consistent snow conditions that people can find day after day.
I think the generation have changed and the way people travel have changed quite a bit. And Intrawest did adapt to this and created a village that suits the people's needs of this era. If you go back 30 years ago, at that time of year, and in February, like, you would have adults coming to ski weeks, but hardly any kids were coming at Tremblant. Nowadays, you have kids every day on the resort. People are taking their vacation, much more family oriented, and the equipment have changed. The sport has changed. I think with snowboarding and telemark and alpine touring and so on, people have a choice of activities that they want to do in the mountain. They don't just come here to ski. I think as a ski resort, Tremblant is unique in the sense that we're having a lot of English guests in a French culture area, and I think we have a little bit of that European flavor to this mountain that you don't find anywhere else in North America.
One of the most unique features of the resort is the fact that it's integrated with the village at the bottom of the slopes. So you can actually park your car and you can stay for a whole week without taking your car. You've got everything you need, and it's great to have those services at the base and to be able to enjoy the mountain and then the resort at night.
What we call Tremblant privileges that comes automatically with any hotel room rented on the resort, on the property, and just that, it's actually free, and it includes first tracks for everybody coming up every day. It's like $20-something per person per day for free, and you get to ski before everybody else. So cross your fingers it's going to snow the night you're here, because then you're the first one up. Also, there's free skating at the bottom of the mountain, bottom of the resort. There's skates for loan. It's all free for the whole family. It's illuminated music. It's totally magical. And there's also tubing as well. That's also included. So it's three fun things that you can do. It comes automatically with a room on the resort, and it sort of stretches out your day. There's also new this year. There's alpine touring, and it's a pretty big thing over in Europe and out west in Canada. It's however fairly new here in Quebec, and you can rent on one of the shops here in town. You can rent all the equipment. It's a bit different from your normal ski experience, where you put skins under your shoes, under your skis, and you have special boots that you can walk in more comfortably than normal ski boots. And once you're all set up, you go up the mountain. Instead of taking the chairlift, you go up on your own 2 feet on your own power, and then you come back down. So it's a much slower, much different experience from what you get on your normal downhill skiing. But you get to see the mountain, you get to see the nature, sort of be on your own in the woods for a bit, but you're still really within seconds of the action. So it's a very safe, very different sort of way to experience the mountain.
Somehow being in charge of the snow school with just about 400 ski instructors and working with passionate people that go out on a daily basis and trying to share that passion with people is my biggest pride.
Working in a resort is an amazing experience, and really we see it as a plant. And when we tour our plant, instead of walking throughout machines and big motors and stuff like that, we actually ski around on the mountain. And it's amazing to work day after day to deliver something that people really enjoy, instead of just making a regular product that goes out in boxes.
I come from around here, so it's very nice for me to be back in this area. I've sort of gone around the country for a little bit, and now this is what I see every day. There's no traffic, there's no craziness. It's pure joy, pure happiness, pure bliss every day. Just being able to share in this all the time, and to be honest, putting a lot of effort and work into making this place as best as it can. When you talk to somebody that's visiting and you see that they're having a good time with their family, that's a nice little moment. It's a little smile that I can have, and I know I've contributed to making this place a place where memories happen for families and friends. It's great. big place. There's a lot of people working at this together. Everybody sort of has their own little space in this, so it's a lot of work just making sure that everybody knows what there is to do, making sure that the same message is put out as far as in the market for the consumer. Truth is, though, it's more fun than it's a hard time.
I guess one of the main challenge we encounter is the weather. A few days ago we had some amazing conditions, everything was good, and then we got some rain and then freezing rain. Freezing rain is the worst thing for operating lifts. Obviously it affects the detachable lifts, and then once that's gone, you need to put the mountain back in shape again and work hard to make sure that the guests can enjoy it as fast as possible.
I think it's to keep people happy. It's not so much of a challenge as a mission. I think we go out there and we're trying differently to meet people's expectation, and it's not always the same. So that's probably the beauty of this job, is that you adapt every day with the people that you have in front of you. So being on four sides, we do have a couple of bays. You know, the main village is on the south side with all the amenities, and then you move towards Versant Soleil, which is still in the making, but that's where you'll find a casino. And if you move towards the north side, a little bit more remote, but it's a great place for day skiers. You have a lodge there. You can go in and change and get ready for your day skiing. There's also a lodge on top of the mountain for lunch, the Grand Manitou, that can host a couple of thousand people up there. There's a great place that's a little bit hidden at Tremblant. It's on the Versant Soleil. It's called Le Refuge du Trappeur. It's a little hot in the middle of nowhere, no electricity, the back houses, and a great place to have the cocoa soup or the ragout de boulet there. You need to try that at least once in your stay.
The other thing that people don't suspect is what goes behind the scene, especially with maintenance. A mountain like this has a big maintenance crew. We have lift mechanics, electricians year-round. We have a crew of more or less 20 people, and we go up to 28 in the summer. And we have those mechanics early in the morning. They get in at 5 o'clock, 5:30, and they run a full shift, and we also have a night shift. So we're doing preventive maintenance at night. And during the summer, when the lifts are shut down, then it's the whole cycle of preventive maintenance for the whole summer. All the lifts are taken apart, and we do all the tests to make sure that it runs smoothly in the winter. So the general principle of a detachable lift, we see here we have the cable, the towers, and we see that grip that is coupling the chair with the cable. That grip has the ability to detach when it gets in the terminal. So it will go in, and you see the little roller at the top. It's gonna get pinched in the rail right here, and that pinching will decable the grip from the cable. So as the grip goes in the terminal, the grip is pushed by those tires, and the tires will slowly bring down the chair to the terminal speed so people can unload the lift. So as the chair leaves the cable, the chair goes around in the terminal all around, and the cable gets into that big bull wheel here that we see in red, and it goes back to the bottom of the mountain. Here we have the electric motor. That's the art of the lift. That transfers power to a big transmission that's almost as high as I am, and then it sends the power to the bull wheel. We get in at more or less 1,000 RPM, and the bull wheel will run at more or less 18-20 RPM. So lots of force that goes down. If we have an electrical power failure, then we can rely on a diesel motor. It's a big motor in this case that allows the lift to run at almost maximum speed, and we can run all day and keep operating the lift. If we have a problem with both systems, then there's another motor on the other side of the lift, and that is what we use to evacuate the lift. It runs at a very low speed, and when you use that, you empty the line, you get the people out of the chairs, and then you shut the lift for repairs. Here what we have is the tensioning system. So we have the bowl wheel that we see in the back in red with the cable, and that cylinder actually pulls on that old carriage where the motors and the transmission is, and it makes sure that there's a proper tension on the cable to have the lift functioning properly. So as the chairs get in, they slow down to a fixed speed where people will unload the chair, and the chairs will go around that detour over there. We've got some systems that allow for the lift to manage the spacing between the chairs, and that's something critical. We want to make sure we always have the same distance in between each chairs. So that system here allows the lift to either accelerate a chair or decelerate a chair to make sure that the spacing is managed properly. The chair will go around, and it will start accelerating slowly all the way to reach the same speed as the cable speed, and then it will cable again and go down the mountain to pick up some other skiers. So the daily cycle of the mountain, at midday we make the planning for the next day. And then we've got at the end of the day we sweep the mountain. We've got all the patrollers that will ski all the trails, all the little corner of the mountain to make sure no one is left behind. And after that, the mountain is for the groomers. We've got 2 shifts. We've got a total of 11 grooming machines. There's one shift between 4 and midnight, and then the second shift from midnight until 8. And early in the morning, we see all the job that we have done, and then we send the information to guest services, and those guys will make sure we have a report available for the day. And then the patrol gets in quite early, and they're going to ski all the trails to make sure that there's no surprise. And after that, we will allow the guests to come in. We've got first tracks here at Tremblant, so at 7:45 the guests can board the lifts, and we offer some good skiing on the north side. And after that, at 8:30, it's the regular opening of the mountain, and we will have the patrollers open all the different sectors of the mountain, one after the other. Somebody that knows the right spots can do some first tracks for up to 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's a good thing to know. We have a pretty powerful snowmaking system. We have 5 snowmaking plants that are spread out over the mountain. We have 1,066 guns, and we can run more or less 250 at the time. So we run those guns in some trails, and while we're doing that, while we're making the snow, we're prepping the other trails, and when we're done we can switch. And what we do is we want to be as efficient as possible to make sure that we can open the terrain very quickly at the beginning of the season and offer more and more terrain as the season progresses. We have 11 grooming machines. Some of them are very specialized. Here, just in front of us, we have the restaurant at the top. There's no road to come at the top, so we need to bring the food, and we need to haul the garbage out with some grooming machines. And we also have the regular machines that will push the snow, and we also have the winch cats. So basically it's a grooming machine with a winch on the back of the machine, we have a 1 kilometer cable on that machine. So what's important when you groom is to bring the snow up. During the day, the skiers are bringing all the snow down, tons and tons of snow. And the grooming process is not only making those corduroy lines, it's really to manage the snow to make sure that there's the proper thickness and that you stir the snow to have a good soft conditions.
Well, I think the first thing is you need to experiment skiing or snowboarding, at least gliding on a mountain once in your life. Having the feeling of the wind in your face is something very special. It's something that touches all of those people coming here. And we're talking millions of people coming to Tremblant over the past years. So definitely it's an experience that you need to live and go through in your life. And why Tremblant? I think we've been there for 75 years. We've been bringing people for 75 years, like teaching them to ski, to snowboard, and to really enjoy the experience.
Tremblant really is a true, honest place where you can come and disconnect, where you can actually put together a little trip for your family, for your friends, whatever. And it's surprisingly accessible. I mean, unless you come on a really, really busy day, which even then, there's lots of room for everybody on the resort. So it's a really fun place to come and disconnect, to come and just get out of your normal routine.
Well, Mont Tremblant is a mountain that I really love. I've been playing here for quite a long time. I've been working here since '93.